Hey everyone, welcome to RYGR Sports. I'm Yash.
And I'm Logan, and today we are going to be going over the MLB offseason so far, and we're going to be going over the free agent signings and the trades and everything that's going on behind the scenes in baseball right now. Um, I am a huge baseball fan. I grew up a baseball guy. Baseball was the first sport that I really started following heavy, and it's always been a very special sport to me. When baseball season comes around, I'm always locked in on all the games and all the players and everything. And especially, after that crazy game seven that we had this year, I think a lot of other people are going to be starting to follow baseball a lot more as well. So we are going to be going over a lot of the moves that have happened so far during the off season, and let you know our thoughts on how this could impact the league, impact whatever teams, and whatever. So now, the latest big move that happened in the MLB was a few days ago. The Mets signed Bo Bichette to a 3-year, $126 million deal. Now, I am a Mets fan. I grew up a heavy Mets fan. I always will be a big Mets fan, and it's been a couple of tough years for us. But this is a very, very good signing. Now, the Mets have made a lot of questionable moves this offseason so far. Obviously, letting Pete Alonso go to the Orioles, trading Brandon Nimmo, like it's a lot of just weird. Letting Diaz go to Edwin Diaz goes to the Dodgers. It's just been a very frustrating offseason for us Mets fans. However, this is a bounce back right here. Bo Bichette is a young star in this league. I believe he hit over 300 last year, had like close to 100 RBIs, and I saw on Instagram he's going to be playing third base for the Mets this year, which is interesting because he started playing as a shortstop on the Blue Jays. I do think that $126 million deal is the right number. 3 years is not a whole lot. I think this guy could have gotten 4 or 5 years from somebody, but the Mets, outside from Soto, aren't really known for giving a lot of guys, long contracts. Obviously, Soto is a once in a generation player, so he deserves that 15-year contract or whatever it was. But
765 for us.
I do think Bo Bichette, gives this offense a little more firepower. He's not the best home run hitter, but he's a guy that just hits. I mean, I think he had close to 200 hits last year, which is something that this Mets offense really does need. Outside of Lindor, and I know they got Marcus Simeon in the offseason, Soto's in there. He's going to be another guy that this offense really does need, which I think is going to be very important for them this year. I think, the Mets have a lot to prove, so that is definitely a great signing by the Mets, one signing that I'm really a fan of. Obviously, we had the Kyle Tucker Dodgers deal a couple of days ago, which is, I get it, man. The Dodgers are a huge market team. They have all this money to sign all these great players, but it gets to a point where you might as well just give them the ring, right? They barely squeaked by the Blue Jays this year, but this team is absolutely loaded, pitching wise and offensively. I mean, you have Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Will Smith, now Kyle Tucker. They just got Edwin Diaz, who's the best closer in baseball. What else does this team need? I mean, I don't get the urgency to make this move at all. You're already the best team in baseball. They gave him 4 years, $240 million, which is a lot. 60 mil a year for this guy is a lot. I believe that's more than what Juan Soto is making per year. So I think, obviously Kyle Tucker's a great player. He was going to get a deal like that from somebody. Obviously, it kind of sucks that it was the Dodgers that gave him that deal because they don't need him. They have such a great roster already. But obviously, he's going to make their team even better, and they're going to be back to at least the National League Championship Series. I think they make the World Series. I think they win again. And of course, you have a couple of other signings and moves and stuff. I'm going to let Yash take over. I know he has a lot to say about everything else that's going on in the league as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, kind of building off your point on Kyle Tucker with his 4-year, $240 million contract and 64 as a signing bonus, and then obviously all 240 is guaranteed. I just feel like that's crazy, right? I mean, obviously, well deserved, right? He's a really good player.
Yeah.
But it's unbelievable what the Dodgers are doing right now, right? I mean, they're giving out over $1 billion a season at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's just crazy numbers. I mean, I feel like they need to add a salary cap to baseball because this is kind of unfair at this point, right?
Yeah, I'm
I mean,
with you on that.
I like it. I enjoy. I'm obviously a Red Sox fan, but I do like the Dodgers a little bit. I did want to watch them beat the, or I did enjoy watching them beat the Blue Jays in an incredible manner. But I think the Dodgers are really gearing up for like a dynasty, right? I think
Yeah,
they have a chance at winning 3 or 4 out of the next 5. I think the Dodgers are.
absolutely.
I mean, they have everybody signed for long term. I mean, you look at all their contracts. Obviously, Shohei signed for 10 million and I believe it was 700 million, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 700 million. And then obviously Freddie Freeman is signed for a while. I think he's got another 2 or 3 years left on his contract. Yamamoto's got a couple more years left on his contract. Or no, he signed a new one, correct?
Yeah, they did extend Yamamoto.
Damn. Okay. So there's that. Obviously, they just re-signed Kyle Tucker. They got Will Smith. I think again the Dodgers do. I think at the minimum, I think the Dodgers' floor is the NL championship. I
Absolutely.
think that's their floor, right? Obviously, the ceiling is winning it all, but I think they will always make it to the NL championship game at least for the next 5 years. Um, I believe there was another player on the Red Sox. Hold on, it
Ranger
was Suarez,
Suarez.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Suarez, who signed a big contract. Now I don't really keep up with baseball as much as Logan does here. I mainly just kind of watch the games. I don't really, but it's kind of nice getting more players in after we let go of Rafi Devers a couple year or last year.
Yeah.
Um, I think the Red Sox have a pretty decent chance this year at making some noise, especially in
For
the
sure.
playoffs.
Absolutely.
We kind of shit the bag just to kind of put it lightly against the Yankees last year. We really had a chance at beating them, and we kind of sold it. But obviously, we're just getting better and better from now on. I really like Duran um, as a player, but I still think the Dodgers are just. I don't even think you can compete with them. I don't think there's any MLB team that can actually go toe to toe with the Dodgers. Maybe the Yankees, but the Yankees are kind of iffy. They don't really
Yeah, they're not going to be great, I
perform in the
don't think.
playoffs. So I mean, look, you can keep talking about the.
Yeah, so obviously you made some good points about the Red Sox. I think they have a great team, and Ranger Suarez is a very solid starting pitcher that's going to stay healthy, and he's gonna give them close to 200 innings, which is very important. You have a couple other deals that happened recently. Obviously, Alex Bregman moving from the Red Sox to the Cubs. They gave him 5 years, $175 million. Alex Bregman has always been such a really solid third baseman in the MLB, and I think losing Kyle Tucker, and I think Bregman is a very good replacement offensively for Tucker. I think Tucker obviously is a little better offensively, a little more power, a little more speed as well. But I think Alex Bregman is a very good quality player that Chicago definitely is going to appreciate. You have Dylan Cease signing with the Blue Jays, 7-year contract, $210 million deal. Dylan Cease, huge strikeout guy. This guy has unbelievable stuff. Questionable at times with his earned run average. He gives up a lot of home runs, but 7-year deal. Obviously, Toronto was very confident in this guy to go out there and produce some very good numbers. Obviously, the Orioles got Pete Alonso from my Mets. They gave him 5 years, $155 million. I think Pete Alonso is top 3 in baseball in home runs in the last 5 or 6 years. So definitely deserved there. He's going to give you close to 40 home runs and 100 RBIs every year, as long as he stays healthy. Kyle Schwarber re-signed with the Phillies, 5 years, $150 million. I didn't think anyone thought Kyle Schwarber was going anywhere. I think Philadelphia is a great place for him to DH, and he's always going to be up at the top of the home run leaderboard in the MLB every single year. He's probably the second best power bat in the league behind Judge, so definitely deserving contract there. We talked about Ranger Suarez. He got $130 million. Another one that I wanted to go over was the Devin Williams deal. He left the Yankees, came to the Mets. Obviously he's going to be the replacement for Edwin Diaz. Devin Williams really struggled with the Yankees last year. The year before that on the Brewers, he was one of the best closers in baseball. So I think he can bounce back from last season. I hope he bounces back for my sake, because obviously replacing Edwin Diaz is a very hard thing to do. I don't think anyone can replace Edwin Diaz. But they gave him $51 million, so obviously they're confident in his ability. A couple other small ones. Michael King re-signed with the Padres. He is a very good pitcher. The Mariners gave Josh Naylor $92.5 million. He is a very quality player. But yeah, a lot of small signings, nothing too drastic. But my opinion on everything is that I think baseball does need a salary cap because you're gonna see teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees, and hopefully the Mets. They're gonna go far in the playoffs every year. And if you have a team like the Dodgers that win 3 or 4 championships in a row, I think clearly something has to change because you got to give these other teams a shot. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I do think a salary cap is needed in baseball. Do I think that they'll, implement one? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to make any changes. But obviously, baseball is a very, non-optimal sport. There's 162 games a season. Players get hurt. Teams trend upwards, trend downwards. So you never really know what's going to happen in baseball. It's probably the most unpredictable sport out of any of them because there's so many games, so many things that can happen. The best teams in the league still lose 60 to 70 games a year. So I'm looking forward to baseball season again. It's always one of my favorite times of the year. Um, Obviously, I think there's still a couple moves that need to be made. Cody Bellinger, don't know where he's going to go. But at the end of the day, I think the Dodgers got better, Mets got worse, and a lot of big contracts. So I'm looking forward to what the rest of the offseason has in store for us. But Yasha, if there's anything else you want to touch on, I think that wraps it up.
Well, mainly just one more thing about the Dodgers. Or not Dodgers, sorry, the AL. Who do you think this year makes the World Series aside from the Dodgers? So on the NL side, we got the Dodgers. Who do you think is the AL winner?
Yeah, I think the NL is clear. Give me the Dodgers in the NL.
Yeah.
The AL is definitely a very different situation because there's not many great elite teams in the AL. I think a lot of the good teams in the MLB come from the NL side. However, I think the Tigers are up and coming after what they did last year. I think the Yankees are always going to be good. Obviously, the Blue Jays made huge Dylan Cease signing. They have a lot of really good players. Um, you know, I think the Mariners also have a very good shot to go back to where they were last year. If I can make a prediction right now, I would probably say the Mariners or the Blue Jays again. But obviously, one of these teams is going to come out of like on fire, and one of these teams is going to surprise us exactly what the Blue Jays did last year. So it's hard to predict, but I think the Mariners and the Blue Jays have the two best rosters in the AL. So give me one of those two teams.
I'm gonna go. I think that the team that's gonna be on fire is gonna be my Red Sox this year. I think we make the World Series and then we get absolutely crushed by the Dodgers as expected. I think we probably lose in like 5 games, but I would be pretty happy to just make it there because it'd just be nice. It's been kind of a while. Last time we were there, 2018. I mean, that was just a historic team. I really wish we were able to keep that team together because,
Yeah.
obviously Mookie Betts from that team, probably one of our, obviously one of our best players going to the Dodgers, and then JD Martinez going to the Dodgers. I mean, we lost everybody to the Dodgers, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
sucks,
yeah.
but. It would be nice to see a Red Sox Dodgers World Series again. Obviously, it happened in 2018, so it'd be like a rematch.
All right, guys. Well, we're looking forward to whatever else the offseason has in store. But hope you guys enjoyed this little offseason recap video. We're going to have more for you guys, in the coming days, coming weeks. But we hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, we'll see you guys in our next episode.